Right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. We'd just like to ask you a few questions for our current Year 12 students who have just started with us, to get them thinking about kind of what they need to develop when they're doing their A-levels, what kind of activities they can take advantage of, and also, importantly, how to make the right decisions about your next steps, which might seem a long, long way off, but it's good to be starting to thinking about these things now. So I've got two student ambassadors here from the University of Leicester, and we've also got Diane, who is also from the University of Leicester, who works in admissions. So we're going to start with Diane. So Diane, could I just ask you to introduce yourself and say something about your role?
Yeah, of course. Hi, my name's Diane and I work within the undergraduate admissions team at the University of Leicester, where I'm the team leader, looking after 7 members of staff who look after all the applications that we receive.
Excellent. And could I just ask you, first of all, what you're looking for in a UCAS as an application?
Well, obviously we're looking for somebody who's qualified for the course that they've applied for, first and foremost, but also we're looking for people that have shown genuine interest in the course that they wish to study. That's the main thing that we're looking for, really.
And how could they evidence those interests?
Well, we would encourage people to write as much in their personal statement as they can. I mean, I know you are limited on the words that you can include on that, but as much information as possible on, any books that you've read that have sparked your interest in the subject, or any practical things that you've done that involve that particular subject, that sort of thing, really.
Could you give any examples of any activities perhaps the universities offer that students could take part in?
Yes, certainly. Well, the university offers summer schools each year, and we also offer taster courses throughout the year as well that they can come and join us on.
Okay, so I guess the more they do, the more they have to talk about, really.
Yeah, and I think obviously the more experience they have of those particular subjects, because sometimes you can have a perception of what a subject is, but it's not until you actually start studying it in more depth that you actually realise fully what it entails. So it can also be good research for, your future studies, really.
Yeah, so actually taking part in something might actually tell you perhaps not to apply to that subject, which is also a good yeah. So when you're looking at these thousands and thousands of UCAS applications, what makes an applicant stand out to you?
I think really just maybe the way that they write their personal statement. You really, some people are really give a really good account for themselves within their personal statement, and you can almost sort of feel their personality coming through their application. Because obviously, we have no idea on just looking at the application what the individual is like. So it's a bit like trying to sell yourself in a job application, I guess. In a way, you're trying to sort of really put your personality over on that application. That's not to say that if you are not good at that side of selling yourself, that your application would be at a disadvantage, because it wouldn't be. We are looking for well qualified students who are capable of actually studying at higher levels. So that's the main thing that we're looking for. But for certain courses, like medicine and other interviewing courses, they are also looking for that standout personal statement as well.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a real combination of different factors.
It is really, yeah.
So, okay. So just finally, what top tip or final piece of advice would you give to our Year 12 students when they're kind of thinking about what they're going to do next?
Yeah, well, I'd always advise them to do their homework on courses and where they're interested in applying to. First and foremost, I mean, I know at the moment it's not possible to visit places in person, but as soon as we're able to, and if you are able to in this coming year, I would definitely recommend going to visit as many universities as you think you might be interested in applying to, because over and over again, when I speak to students, they all say, I came on my trip to Leicester, and as soon as I got there, I knew it was the place that I wanted to be. And I think that is true wherever you end up studying in the majority of cases. So I would always recommend that. And also just make sure that you've got the right qualifications for the course that you want to apply for as well.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you, Diane. Some really useful advice. So generally speaking, so universities are looking for a whole combination of factors, but it's really, you've got to work really hard to get those grades. Is the bottom line.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. All right. So I'm going to move on now to our lovely student ambassadors who have joined us. So Harriet, perhaps if I start with you. So could you just give a little bit of an intro about what you're studying and, perhaps what subjects you did before you came to university?
Yeah, of course I can. So hi everyone, my name is Harriet and I'm currently a fourth year medicine student here at the University of Leicester, which sounds crazy to say if, your admissions tutor is saying about how time really flies, and you to think about this now might seem a bit daunting. Imagine 4 years of university flying, so it really does just kind of a blink of an eye. But in terms of what I studied at sixth form, I did chemistry, biology and maths, and then I also did an AS in English literature, which was kind of like my passion subject, and kind of my little extra that I really enjoyed. Yeah, what else would you like to know?
So did you know at that stage when you were choosing your A-level subjects, did you know that you were aiming for medicine undergraduate degree?
Yes, I most definitely did. It's something that I look back on now, and I'm really pleased that I was bothered to do my research kind of at the end of my GCSEs. So I remember sitting my GCSEs and thinking, right, I've got, a good set of grades here. Kind of what can I see myself doing in the future? What am I passionate about? What do I enjoy to do? And it was at that point really that I tried to do as much of my homework as I can, that Diane was talking about, and looking at courses and kind of really trying to work out what skills I had I could lend to a university course. So I'd decided I'd like to be a medicine applicant before I chose my A-level results, before I chose my A-level subjects, sorry. And then because of that, there are certain subjects you have to choose to study certain courses. So it's really important that you know that. So I knew I had to study chemistry plus one other science. And I knew I had to get 3 A's at A level across 3 subjects. So kind of I hit the ground running, if you like, and I wasn't going to put myself at a disadvantage by kind of making that wrong choice early on, because it really can make a difference. And then, kind of touching a bit back on acknowledging what I'm passionate about, although of course I do love my sciences. I didn't want to neglect the part of me that actually really enjoyed English at GCSE, and I knew that I was passionate about that as well, and that I could hopefully do well at that subject, which is one of the most important things. You can't get on a course without the grades, so that's why I also chose English literature as well. And I don't have any regrets about any of those choices. I was quite content with those.
Great, thank you. And did you get any sort of work experience during your, either before sixth form or during sixth form, and how did that help also confirm your choice and help with your university application?
Yeah, great question. I think it's one of those myths, if you like, that all of medicine applicants have got an amazing amount of work experience in top hospitals, shadowing life-saving consultants, and I had absolutely none of that. Not to say that I didn't try, I really did. But as you can imagine, it's quite tricky at age 17 to get into a hospital where there's lots of consent issues and lots of really unwell patients. So I didn't manage to go down that avenue. So my work experience actually consisted of applying to a special needs school. So I'd go every Friday morning, and I loved it. And I was in the reception class with the PMLD kids, so the kind of the really complex learning difficulty kids. And I think I learned far more there about empathy and compassion, and just kind of like holistic care as a whole than I would have done on a ward serving tea on a tea round. So I did do that work experience alongside my sixth form. And it's something that I really do think my university admissions tutors liked, is that actually I maintained that for both years that I was studying my A-levels. So not only did I have relevant-ish work experience. I like to think I also showed a bit of commitment there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that showed that you genuinely enjoyed it, the fact that you stuck at it for the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, so in your personal statement, presumably you spoke all about your work experience, did you? And what other things do students put in personal statements?
Well, that's really interesting, actually. I did speak about my work experience, so I reflected on kind of the skills that work experience had taught me and how I could apply those to medicine when I was applying, and why I thought that would hopefully make me a better doctor. But actually, a lot of my work experience also personal statement consisted of just kind of me stuff. So like Diane was saying, these admissions tutors hadn't met me. They didn't know anything about me. And actually, medicine is a big part of my life, but I'm really into theatre and I'm really into music. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm also into literature. So I had a lot of kind of stuff going on. So actually, I chatted a bit about my role as Tiger Lily in productions in Peter Pan. I chatted about my my DV expedition and getting stuck in a mud hole and the kind of the team working skills it brought me. And actually, I tried to focus on things in my personal statement that, one, I felt really honestly describes me. So they knew kind of what they were getting before I turned up to an interview. And then secondly, things that I was confident and passionate to talk about at interview. So when I did finally get my interviews for medical school, I wasn't nervous to chat to the admissions teams because actually I was just going to chat about the things I genuinely love and have had fun doing. So that's kind of how I structured my personal statement personally.
Yeah, I mean, I can see definitely how that would just go down so well in an interview. And interesting, you mentioned D.V. I mean, I think that is such a brilliant thing to do, isn't it? To kind of demonstrate a lot of the skills that you need, you know, for medicine, but also for so many other courses as well. It really makes applicants stand out. Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, so presumably everything went to plan because you're there.
Just about.
So could you just tell us a little bit about how is university different from sixth form study?
Well, for starters, there's nobody making sure and checking in that you've done certain things. So if you make it to your January exams and you haven't been submitting stuff along the way, that's on you. So I think that kind of took me by surprise in those first few months, is kind of the emphasis on independent study. I was quite fortunate really that I'd also done an extended project qualification, so I'd kind of had a bit of a taste of, from doing my EPQ, of what independent study was. But university's kind of that, but next level. Yeah, and also as well, organising your own time. So I don't know about all you guys, but my mum cooks lovely home meals most evenings. And all of a sudden, my fridges was bare, and Asda was a 20-minute walk, and I hadn't eaten a green vegetable in probably the first 3 weeks of uni. So that took a bit of adjusting to, kind of juggling independent study and actually living like a half-decent human being. So yeah, that's probably was the biggest change. But also as well, I was studying a subject I was passionate about the whole time, all the time. I wasn't having to do maths that actually I didn't really enjoy, if I'm being honest. Every day I was going to lectures for something I'd chosen. So that was kind of cool for the first time.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, the independent study skills, and again, you mentioned the EPQ there. So our students have an opportunity to take that in their second year at form. Yeah, and I've heard that, that universities really respect that qualification, the fact that you can demonstrate those independent study skills. Brilliant. Okay, so just finally, and then we'll move on to Kieran. Thinking, if you could think back to when you were in year 12, what advice would you give to your year 12 self?
That's a really good question, and I think I feel like I've explained a lot about work experience and DV, and I like theatre and all of these kind of extra bits to me, which I am really pleased that I've got. My advice to my year 12 self would be to not forget about needing those grades, and that they come as a minimum. I remember getting to March and I was so busy being Miss Extracurriculum, and my personal statement looked amazing. and actually you have still got exams to sit, and all of that could have come to nothing if I'd got a B in my biology. So actually keeping on top of your schoolwork needs to be a priority amongst all the other things, and then also maintaining friendships and the things you're passionate about need to be a priority. And if you've got headspace for extra stuff, then fab. But don't leave it to March like I did to remember you actually still have to sit your A levels, and that all this amazing extra stuff could just be that, just extra stuff. That would be my
that's brilliant advice, I think. I mean, I think year 12 is the ideal time, isn't it, to take part in all these activities, do this research. If you leave it to year 13, then it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Okay, so moving on now to Kieran. Could you just tell me a little bit, introduce yourself and sort of tell me what you're studying and what you studied at sixth form?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Kieran, and I'm about to be graduating, having done a politics and international relations degree. And I'm from Leicester. Been in Leicester like all my life. In fact, my college is next door to the university, so I've been on the same campus for about like 5 years or something like that. But yeah, in A levels, funny enough, first time round, I studied subjects which I didn't like, but it's subjects I thought I should be doing, which was a mistake. And I didn't do well at all, and I got a second chance, very luckily, and I picked subjects I really enjoyed, which second time round was politics, history, and ancient history, so all humanities, because that is kind of like, that's what I like about all that stuff. And I smashed all of them, got all 5 offers from my universities, and came to Leicester.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm interested. So when you chose your subjects that you didn't like, what led to that decision? Do you think? What did you not research them properly, or what sort of happened?
No, I think it was I was trying to think too many steps ahead. If that makes sense. I was kind of thinking like 5 years like down the line rather than thinking the next couple of years. And I was in my head had influences from kind of different sources, but then also I was thinking, well, I need subjects which open doors, and I just think I had a different mindset about how certain subjects open doors than others, which is something I've since learned is just not true. But it's one of those things where I thought that studying certain subjects would help me more than studying subjects I actually enjoyed, and I think that was the massive error. But also I learned so much from that mistake. I wouldn't be in the position I'm in or have the mindset I've got without having done that mistake, or even being in like this the same kind of year that I am now and met all the amazing people that I have. So I think at the time it was like, this is the worst thing ever, everything's crumbling, and now I'm just thinking that is the best thing that probably could have happened to me in education.
Yeah. And I think a lot of what you said there applies to when you're choosing a university course as well, isn't it? That always go for something that you genuinely are going to enjoy, and you don't necessarily have to know exactly what job you're going to do in 3 years' time, because the degrees open up so many different opportunities.
Absolutely, and particularly with humanities as well, there's so much you can do. I think because I do like politics, the main thing everyone asks me is like, oh, you're going to be an MP, but like there's so much more. You can go into all kinds of stuff with just the skills that you learn, because everything's so transferable. And I think what I've learned over the years is it's okay not to have like a 10-year plan. If you're thinking about the next year, that's fine. You don't need to have all the pieces of the puzzle right now at the minute, because that's almost impossible for a lot of people. Just kind of take it one step at a time, kind of thing, and you'll be okay.
Brilliant. So when you were choosing your universities and the course, I mean, was there anything in particular that you were looking for in a university course, and how did you kind of research that?
Yeah, so I did, I think, what a lot of students around the same time were doing, and I did a big Excel spreadsheet of different universities, and like Harriet knows, of like different universities and like different kind of like criteria, I guess. So there'd be a column for entry grades, but also other things that you need to consider, like how far away is it from your home, and you know, how easy is it to get back to see your family and friends, or even like location as well, because I think a lot of people are concerned about the grades and kind of the course content, which absolutely is really important, and that should be a focus. But you also have to remember you're going to be living there for like minimum 3 years, and you don't want to be living somewhere where you're going to be like bored a lot of the time, which is one thing I was looking at. It's like I wanted a good uni, but also a good city as well, because so much about there's so much more to uni than just the course, and I think any uni student will tell you that there's just absolutely so much more, and it's really important that you've got a place which can foster all of that as well.
Can I just, did you do any summer schools or taster courses or anything like that when you were choosing?
Yes, I didn't do summer schools, but I came to the University of Leicester to do a taster lesson or lecture, and it was about the politics of the international drug trade. And turns out, like 2.5 years later, that module with the same person who was doing that taster lecture was available for me to pick in my 3rd year. So naturally I did that, and yeah, my lecturer was the same lecturer who gave me that taster session, and I think we almost had a very similar lesson on like the first time doing that module, which was quite nostalgic.
Fantastic. So you had a head start.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Yes. I mean, our message to students, you know, just to keep an eye out for all the university tasters that will come and, you know, we'll start advertising. And a lot of these might be online to start off with, but with any, you know, hopefully things will start move towards more face-to-face stuff as we progress through the year. But there's absolutely tons of stuff that's coming that is available online. So I suppose just one final piece of advice also, Kieran, that you would give to our Year 12 students. So these are all just starting out on their A-level subjects. So what would your advice be to them to sort of make sure they make the right decisions?
So the main advice I think I'd give is definitely pick something you love, because that's how you're going to do well. If you love the subject you're doing, you'll excel at it. And also, don't be worried if you don't have a plan. It's okay. Like, taking things one step at a time is perfectly a good option as well. It's what I'm doing at the minute, and I will be probably doing for the next couple of years or so. So yeah, don't stress too much. Everything will actually be okay, as cliche as that sounds.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kieran, Diane and Harriet. It's been absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure our Year 12 students will really enjoy listening to your advice. So I'm going to, if you'd just like to hang on, Kieran, Diane and Harriet, but I will stop recording for the students. Okay. Thank you very much.